Welcome to a different video, and the topic is a different channel, Emma's Light Over the Bridge, which is my YouTube channel that I started exactly 4 months ago today. So the day that I'm recording this video is the 27th of June. And I want to take this day, the 4 months mark, to put out a vision there or an idea for what I want to do with this channel, and that I'm inviting you to be a part of. And I will give you some more background about why I started the channel and what my thoughts are for the continuation and the value that I'm hoping to bring. So I'm Emma, but that wasn't always my name. I live now under a protected identity since a little over a year, because of a threat to my life from my ex-husband. I was with him for 21 years. It was an abusive relationship, but I didn't realize that it was abusive until the very last part of it, when it got really violent and scary. So how can that happen? I'm a doctor. I'm a medical doctor, educated. I actually have 2 degrees. So before I went to med school, I went to the pharmacology program, which is a 5-year program here in Sweden. And before that, I attended the regular schooling. I have heard about abuse, but I didn't know that it could look like the relationship that I was in. And after I woke up to this fact that all the things that had been off or that I've been struggling with, that have been really painful to me, what was happening was that I was victim of a person who was on purpose taking advantage of me and on purpose trying to break my spirit and destroy my confidence and overload me with chores and burdens so that I wouldn't look at what he was doing, and that I would be so tired and unsure about what was happening, so I wouldn't question him or what was going on. The focus would be that I would question myself and continue to try harder. And what was more horrible was that not only was this was the only serious relationship that I was ever in. I got to know this man at 15, but I married him, so that was like the main relationship during my adult years. But I also grew up with a mother who is narcissistic and who abused me emotionally, and that sort of primed me for this relationship that I were to get in. So after waking up to this fact and when I started to try to break free, my ex-husband got really violent and tried to end my life. So it was so many things that I was trying to make sense of at the same time. It was like trying to break free of something that was invisible, that had been there my whole life, and starting to question everything. And I was already questioning a lot of things from the gaslighting or the emotional manipulation that had been done to me. But now I was beginning to see patterns, and I was beginning to remember things that I had just not been able to make sense of and just put somewhere in a back chamber. And everything was just coming out at the same time that he was actually trying to harm me. And he began to stalk me, and the police got involved, and I was trying to work at my regular job. Eventually, this just ended with me crashing the spring of 2024. It felt like my whole life was just falling apart. So I was fighting for my life and fighting for being able to function, to take care of my kids, and to get us eventually to a safe place, apply and collect the evidences, have contact with the police, move and everything. So I never went to women's shelter. I was offered to go there by the social services because they also, so I got this danger assessment, and they deemed that this is extreme high risk for deadly violence, and they immediately offered me a position housing, but I didn't want to take my kids there. And also here in Sweden, that system with the housing for the women's shelter has been going through, they changed the regulation. So that meant that many of the places that were run by volunteers were forced to shut down because they made it you had to have staff all around the clock. And then I'm not sure, but I think that they had to have some sort of education. I'm not sure. But anyways, the shelters that were run from volunteers, many of them were shut down. So it was actually a crisis. And from what I know, that had those housing, the housing is still a problem here in Sweden, which is really horrible because often in this position, as a woman trying to leave an abusive husband, you're often financially abused. And I had been financially abused as well. I was tricked into signing huge loans in my name. But anyways, I didn't want to go that route, and I did have this, the one thing that helped me a lot was my education. So I was able to, just by waiving that education and telling them that I'm educated and I'm looking for work in this town or that town, and then fix an apartment pretty quickly. Let's see, am I getting off track here? Well, anyway, it was a fight just to be able to move. And I have actually had to move 4 times. So it's been 19 months since I left. And I moved 4 times. The first time just because I didn't want to stay in the same apartment where we had lived together after I forced him. So it's... Well, I might as well tell it because if I skip over some details, it sounds like things don't add up. But then if I tell everything, it gets so confusing because there were so many things happening. But I left, but then I kicked him out. So after I kicked him out, I was afraid to stay in that apartment because I didn't know, because that was an apartment that he knew very well, and he was stalking me and showing up. And so we moved first, in the same city, and I was just hoping that he would calm down, but that didn't happen, and it escalated. But after that, I moved 3 more times, and twice So let's see, the first time to like a new town, but then he found us in September 2024. So then we moved again, and then he found us again in February this year. So then we moved the fourth time. And now hopefully we are safe. The idea to this channel, it came actually during that last move. And I don't know, it wasn't my lowest point in life, but it was a very low point. I had struggled to start over, to build a new life for my kids and myself. And I have done that. That was the second time, and then he found us, and I was forced to leave everything again. And I felt, and also during this point, it was so much to deal with, just what had happened with my husband. So having any thoughts about my childhood or questioning that was too much at that point. But before the last move, I had started to go through some of that stuff again. And it was just overwhelming, realizing that my whole life was sort of circling around this, that I had been influenced by this personality disorder, as it's called, narcissistic personality disorder, or emotional abuse, whatever you want to label it. Or so. And self-diagnosis are never certain, but anyway, I'm just talking about the behavior that was done to hurt me during my whole life, and then struggling for so long to get on my feet again, just to be forced to move. And I was forced to move immediately when he was spotted in that town, because the threat was so severe and I couldn't risk it. And also, then during that move, I also had this small incident with my car. Now, in hindsight, I can laugh about it because it worked out. But right then, it was not funny. I got stuck actually twice. It was twice, on the same day. It was very cold and very icy on the roads. And then the first time, there was an ambulance coming very quickly, and I just tried to move to the side, but then the car slipped. So, and I wasn't going fast, but it got stuck in the snow. So no one got hurt. But then the same thing happened later that evening when there were reindeer suddenly running out on the road. And my car was signaling lights that something was broken, and I didn't have any money left. I had used all my buffer. And even moving to this apartment, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to meet, to pay the double rents again. So I was in a very uncertain position and under a lot of pain, sadness, and grief. And I was trying to keep it all together for the sake of my kids. And this, one night, that night that we were moving, I was driving by myself, the moving van. And I felt that I had lost everything that I had valued, my social reputation, my marriage, or having a whole family, having a job. I didn't work. I didn't work then. I hadn't yet started. I was forced to leave to workplace while we moved. And I didn't have contact with my friends. They didn't understand what I was going through. It was hard to deal with everything that has to do with the system, the economics, and then at the same time this emotional pain. And right there, on the road when I was driving this truck, I got the idea, or I had never thought that I would start a YouTube channel, but in that moment when I was thinking about all the pain that I'd been through and how I had been tricked for so many years, and how many women and men as well, my father was one of them, that has been fooled and tricked and taken advantage of. And even after you start to wake up to that fact, it's very hard to get a grasp on what you're dealing with. And then I just thought that there's nothing holding me back from speaking about this. So that idea, I will talk about this and I will start a YouTube channel, that just came to me while I was driving. And actually, when I did start it, I was feeling very depressed and very low. But this became my light. It became creating the videos and putting them together. Became the first thing in a long time that felt fun, and that I was able to express myself in a creative way. And it felt that even though I've been through all this pain, it had some meaning to be able to help someone else. And I am really feeling that what I'm doing is meaningful. And I am putting in a lot of thought and work into every video. And I'm not holding back on anything. Even though sometimes I feel a bit vulnerable when I post something. In some of my videos, I look like a mess because I am a mess sometimes. So the channel it's hard to define, what is it? But first I want to show a bit of my story. And I also have a lot of knowledge about narcissism, about psychology, because I have been reading about this for years. I understood that my ex-husband had a personality disorder in 2017. And before that, I had been really thinking about and struggling with the pain from not being able to help my mother, because I thought that the reason for, perhaps I shouldn't be able to go into that, but I try to love her out of it and rescue her and understand what she was dealing with. And I thought it was something different. So I learned a lot about burnout. I even, the first job as a junior doctor, I applied for, and I worked a year at a rehab clinic where they had a lot of patients with mental fatigue and brain fog. And I had some dream that I would be able to help women dealing with these symptoms, because I thought perhaps that's what my mother had. That was the cause of all the pain. And like the mood swings and anger and rage. So I have been trying to solve this puzzle. And if I go back, like I remember an instance when I was 6 years old, when I asked my mother, so mom, what would really make you happy? What would you really want if you could wish for anything in the whole world? And she said, a Rolls Royce. And so I was trying to save, and I was really interested even then. I started first grade when I was 6, so I started 1 year early because I already know the letters and the math. I really liked math. And I was calculating like, okay, so what I get every week, it was like equal to $1. It will take many years. I won't be able to do it. So I tried to convince my siblings. I have 3 siblings. Oh, and they're younger than me. I don't think I tried to convince all of them. They were too small, but at least my younger sister, like, you have to chip in here. We need to save up. And my younger sister said, no, I want to buy candy for my like weekly allowance. And I told her, well, then mommy will never be happy. And I really wanted my mother to be happy and to love me. And of course, that has been a struggle my whole life, like not feeling loved and not feeling connected with the person that matters most to me. And I thought that I wasn't enough. I thought that I need to try more, and I did try more. I did a lot of things. But eventually I realized that, at least when it comes to my husband, it's this personality disorders. I've been reading anything that I can get my hands on from the clinical literature, like the research papers, and of course listening to a lot of YouTube channels. And I mean, there's a lot of material out there, and it's very hard to sort through. And so either people are speaking from their own experience, or they are speaking from like a psychological lens. And I feel that like the connection between them, there are not that many out there who are able to put the two together, to be able to speak from like the psychological knowledge and pair it with experience to be able to explain. So this was what was happening, and this is what it's called, and this is the mechanism. Not that I'm not a psychologist, and I feel that diving too deep into the psychology of the narcissistic person is not very helpful, actually. And the whole aim to be like, why do we want to know about this, and why should we listen to a channel talking about abuse and narcissism? It's about, well, first of all, it can spread awareness to someone who is in the beginning of such a relationship, to be able to spot the manipulation. Perhaps that person has gone through some of these relationships before and now want information. So how do I get into a relationship that is healthy? And what would that look like? And how do I know if someone is using me? Because it's so sneaky in the beginning, and they can be so nice and charming. So it's hard to spot. And that's like one thing that I want to provide on my channel. And the other part is, if you're in one of these relationships and you're questioning yourself and you're hoping to be able to improve things and heal the other party, then you would want information on what is really going on. If you're being abused and taken advantage of, then like the whole basis for trying to improve a relationship, it's not a relationship if you're being abused and tricked and lied to and taken advantage of. And I know that like some talkers or some psychologists think that, well, it's a personality disorder. It can't really help it. It's like a structural thing in their personality. That's how they deal with things. They don't know any other way. I think that's BS, because if you have, like, they know very well what's acceptable. They know very well what they're doing, like the effect it's having on others, and often they enjoy it. That's hard to realize. It's hard to accept that someone would enjoy to hurt the person who they claim to love and who loves them. But that's what I experienced over and over, and that's what so many others are testifying. That was what was happening. If you have a schizophrenic person, or a person who is like a bipolar 1 and they're going to a manic episode, or a depressed person who is really, really depressed to the point where everything else is like shielded off. Those are like the reasons for why you would be admitted into a psychiatric ward against your will, because you could harm yourself or harm others, and you can't be held responsible because, well, you're not really able to deal, like, your mind is so under this manic episode, it doesn't function like it should normally, or under this schizophrenic psychosis, it's like they are not in contact with reality anymore. So a schizophrenic person, it doesn't matter who they interact with. It's a doctor, their wife. If they have a wife, normally schizophrenic persons are, they don't succeed very well in life or when it comes to relationships. Well, a family member then, they will act the same. They will still be like convinced that aliens have landed on Mars and now we need to get into the basement and like put all the stuff in front of the basement door because we can't be out there because of the radiation or something. Like they are completely inside of their own psychosis, so they have lost contact with reality. And if that person were to do a crime, then they can go for the insanity defense, so they will not be like sentenced to jail, or they would be perhaps like under psychiatric care, but they would not be legally responsible for what they're doing. And that is not what is happening in a narcissistic personality disorder. Often they enjoy hurting others, and if you have come very close to a narcissist, they will sometimes tell stories about how they hurt someone and be proud of it. Comment below if you have heard these stories. It's a way of living where you decide to take advantage of others, and bind them to you in different ways through through contracts or relationships or marriage deals or through their love, and you are faking it in return, and then they're basically employing you as a slave. That's how I feel if I look back at like the narcissistic relationships, both with my mother and with my ex-husband. I was doing a lot of work for them, a lot of work. So let's see, I got a little bit off topic here. My vision for this channel is to explain things, like both from a perspective of someone who's gone through it, but also with an explanation for what is it called, and mostly what I want to provide or focus on is how do you heal from this? Because there are many channels about narcissism, but there is no one talking about, so how do you heal from this? How does it look like? And I'm trying to do that in every video, like from different angles, trying to show, so this is one step forward. And because it is so deep, the abuse goes so deep and it affects like so many layers. One part of healing is to understand and accept and be able to reverse the gaslighting. So that's what I'm trying to do in my videos, like show this is what was going on, and this is the truth, and try to shift things around, because you get so locked inside your own mind. And even now, as I think about my ex-husband, there are still like two different images in my mind. One is the image that I'm starting to build up now from memories and from the like putting things into place, like he really did that, he really said that, and he would love to kick me when I'm down, actually, like verbally abuse me if I had a hard day, which is horrible. Like, why would you want to do that to the mother of your children and your wife? But that's like one image, but then it's also the other part, like the good memories that I have. That was the fake persona that he would put on sometimes, and it's very hard. Like, he was so good at it, even though that part very seldom come out in the end. I still have a hard time not believing in that, because that's the person that I thought that I knew for 21 years. So it's a whole process. Like the healing process is messy, and it goes through many layers, and it is partly understanding what happened, but then also, so how do I break free of this? How do I deal with the anxiety, the low self-confidence, and like the doubts, and that's something that I also would like to provide. So I would really love it if my channel would be a place where survivors come to like get clarity and to move forward. it feels like there is so much going on right now in the world, like so much that is uncertain, and there are a lot of advocates for the narcissistic way of living. And I want to create something different. I think that way of living it might look very nice if you do a vlog, but there is something deeper to life than just like the perfect polished surface. And I know that if you're here and still listening to this long video, you are still also feeling that. And so it's been 4 months. I got 406 subscribers when I started making this video. And that really amazes me, and it makes me really happy. So when I did the first video, I thought that, well, probably I won't get any views. I'm just doing it, but no one will find it. But you have found it, and like after getting over the stage fright in the first couple of videos, I am really, really happy that you have found your way here, and that you are like commenting. Reading the comments has really been amazing. And I have, I'm not making any money from the channel. I'm more investing money in it because I have been buying equipment and stuff. I'm doing it because it feels really meaningful. I've also, since I began to work again. And I don't really know what my future will bring, and I don't really know exactly what the future of this channel will be. I do have a vision that I will want to share with you. But what I have been feeling like since I let go of the things, like there has been so many times during the last 19 months that I have been forced to like take a step of faith, so to speak. When I left my ex-husband, that was a step of faith, and I knew that he was going to, or I had a strong feeling that he was going again to try to harm me. And I thought that, but I can't continue like this. So I don't know what will happen if I leave, but I can't continue to stay here. And it is scary when you take a step forward. It was very scary when I called the police, when I started to talk about what had happened. When I moved away from myself, I never lived alone as an adult. It was even scary, like the first time that I went shopping some clothes for myself, because at that point I felt so bad about myself. I didn't feel that I deserved to buy any new clothes. Taking charge of the economy, calling a lawyer, making a decision, taking a step. It was very scary, but something else happened. And also, every time I moved and didn't know where we were going. One time I moved, just borrowed my brother's mobile home, and then just drove away and then like we're arranging for the next home from there. I discovered something during this process, and that was that I was watched over. I wasn't alone. I got help from unexpected places exactly when I needed it. And after I started this channel, which was also scary, it felt like I don't know who I am anymore. But it has felt like, so I have been creative all my life. I have tried to become a writer and never got anything published. But I have like a lot of manuscripts in my computer. Many of them were kids' books, children's books that I illustrated myself. And as I said, I tried to learn about the burnout and relationship dynamics and narcissistic personality, so I didn't know where it would lead. I had this like desire to have a purpose for many years, and I thought, well, perhaps water can be my purpose then, but it didn't work. But now it feels like everything is clicking, like this was why I learned about this, and this was why I went to work at the rehab, and now I am able to use all of that knowledge and experience and just pour it out into this channel. And as I have been doing that, and I have been sharing, even though it feels a bit scary, just trusting that this will have a positive effect. I have been feeling like I have so many ideas coming in, like creative ideas and plans that I can't finish everything. I have so many ideas coming in, and it's like a floodgate just opening. And so I have been doing a lot of different things. I have been doing some funny videos and some weird ones, and like from different angles, explaining and comparing and trying to teach and trying to share, and mostly trying to help people. I think I have confused the YouTube algorithm a bit. Like they don't know who to show my videos to, because I do something about one topic and then I do it about a different topic. But I'm trying to create something cohesive so that persons, like the right person, will find it. They will find their way here. So what do I want to do with this channel? Well, I want you to be part of it. As I said, I'm not really sure how it would play out, but we are so many people with similar experiences, and I know I have connected with a few of you, and I even talked on a video call with one of the viewers, and it feels like we come from different parts of the globe, but we went through the same story. And we feel alone, but we shouldn't be. Like, we can create a place where we can come and meet and support each other and teach each other and like move forward together. You know that there's a film that I think is really beautiful. It's called Pay It Forward. It's about this boy who has a school assignment, and then he comes up with this plan. Well, I want to change the world. So how will I do it? Well, I will help 3 people. And then those 3 people will each, like, they will commit to helping 3 people in their turn, and it has to be something big. The only like objection I have was that he like tried to help some people who were destructive. But I would like to help some people who can like use that help to build something in their own life. Like, if you get some value from this, and this is helping you to step forward and heal and give you some hope and courage, that you can send that forward to someone who is also an empath or a non-narcissistic person who need a word of encouragement or some knowledge or some help. So that would be sort of my vision. I hope like one person is not small. One person can make a huge difference. But first we need to stop putting all our energy and help into these toxic people who are just sucking it up and destroying us. So that's the first step that I've taken, and now I'm trying to spread the knowledge. And also something else that I really want to spread is this, like the joy of life, or the beautiful things in life that was actually robbed from me during the last, like, when you are in a narcissistic relationship, it's like all the color is being sucked out from the world. Nothing is really fun anymore. And if you discover something that you think is fun and that gives you energy, and then the narcissistic person will create a drama or like remove that from you because they want to be the sole focus of your energy and attention. And they become that, and in return they only give you hate and pain. So you give them all the best that you got, and they give you all the worst in return. That's a horrible trade, and I didn't know that I was part of it. I just knew that I wasn't able to get my marriage to work, and I was tired, and I was confused, and there were so many things that I didn't have the energy to think about, because I was like, I couldn't break down and cry, because I had to keep everything together because I was the only one doing that. While in reality, I was being kept as a slave. So let's spread this awareness and this knowledge, and if you have any ideas, put them in the comments. I really appreciate you being here, and perhaps that was it. I will keep showing up here and making videos and being a bit crazy sometimes and not put together. And I'm moving forward and healing, and I wish that you would join me. Thank you very much for listening. It's an honor to have you. Yeah, that's it. Bye.